Good morning, children. Today we are starting the chapter Cell, the basic unit of life. In this chapter, we have already covered the introduction. Now we are coming to the prokaryotic cells, certain special features. We have already seen that there are prokaryotic cells are the cells without a definite nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. A eukaryotic cell doesn't have a complex structure, they are unicellular and they have special features in them that we have studied yesterday. The presence of plasmids, then villi or fimbriae, the cilia or flagella, then mesosomes, then single chromosomes, and the presence of only one organelle, ribosome, which are membraneless organelle. So ribosomes are present both in prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells, which are universally found in all types of cells because they are the only organelle which is not covered by a membrane. So ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis as well. Some overview of the cells we have discussed yesterday. Now we are continuing the structure of prokaryotic cell in some special features. So we have seen that the bacteria are four categories. They are universal in distribution. Bacteria are universal in distribution and they are of four standard. What are they? Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum and Vibrio. Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum and Vibrio are the four kinds of bacteria or four types of bacteria based on the shape of the cell. Coccus is a spherical shaped bacteria, spherical shaped. The shape may be spherical or almost oval in shape. Bacillus, rod shaped bacteria, rod. You can see the rod shaped bacteria very commonly. They are just like a chalk. Just now you have Bacillus. Now Spirillum. Spirillum is spiral shaped bacteria. Spiral shaped. And Vibrio is a comma shaped bacteria. So when we draw a diagram of the spiral shaped bacteria, they are having 2.5 turns, not more than that. Vibrio is a comma shaped bacteria. So based on the shapes, bacteria are classified into four categories: Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum and Vibrio. Right? Now we are coming to the bacteria can be again divided into two groups based on the staining properties. Based on the staining properties, bacteria can be classified into two types: gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Gram positive bacteria can retain the stain while staining. For example, there are many types of bacterial stain. Gentian violet, then purple violet, and many types of bacterial stains are available in the market. So the gram positive bacteria retain the stain. They retain the stain while staining. They retain the stain even after many times of washing with some detergents or some other chemicals. The gram positive bacteria retain the their color, violet or purple color. At the same time, gram negative bacteria lose the color while staining. These staining properties are very important to determine their aggressive nature. So usually gram negative bacteria are pathogenic and gram positive bacteria are non-pathogenic or non-virulent. This staining property of the bacteria was discovered by Christian Gram. Hence, this technique is called the Gram stain technique, Gram staining of the bacteria. Christian Graham is the scientist who discovered the staining properties. So you can see based on the staining properties of the bacteria, there are two kinds of bacteria. Gram-positive bacteria which retain the color of the stain while staining, and the gram-negative bacteria usually do not retain; they lose the color of the stain while staining. And there are many bacterial stains available in the market. You know, gentian violet, Christian violet, purple violet, and many more. Such a staining property indicate the pathogenic properties or virulent properties of the bacteria. Usually, gram-negative bacteria are pathogenic. Why this bacteria? Certain bacteria retain the color of the stain while others do not retain the color. You know the reason? Yesterday we have discussed about it. It is because of the cell wall, properties of the cell wall, as well as the slimy layer around the cell wall. You know, slimy layer of the bacteria, that the layer seen outside the cell wall, is made up of glycocalyx. Glycocalyx. It is this glycocalyx and protein nature, protein contents, as well as lipid content of the cell wall. Lipid content of the cell wall that determine the staining property. So usually glycocalyx and lipids are more, then they retain more color. So this glycocalyx is a complex polysaccharide that help the bacteria not only for the withstanding the unfavorable conditions, they prevent the bacteria from drying off during unfavorable or dry seasons. So we can say glycocalyx are slimy substance. It may also be lipid in nature. It will prevent the bacteria from desiccation. Desiccation means drying during extreme dry conditions. That's why bacteria are able to survive even in the extreme dry conditions. Hence they are the most successful organisms. Bacteria are originated even millions of years ago. Still the bacteria remain without much reduction in the population. So new bacteria are generated. This indicates that how successful organisms are the bacteria, and they are immortal as well, as I told you yesterday. Right? Now we are coming to certain other features of the bacteria. Bacteria contain ribosomes. I told you. Ribosomes are the organelle which are universal in occurrence, and they are found both in plant cell, animal cell, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So what are these important features of ribosomes? Ribosomes are protein sites. They are the sites of protein synthesis. Ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis. Sites of protein synthesis. They are also called the protein factories. There is a ribosome which we call 70S. 70S. S means Svedberg unit. This is the unit of measuring the size of ribosomes while centrifuging. The centrifugation, while centrifuging we can identify the size of the bacteria and size of the ribosomes, and the ribosomes are usually made up of two subunits. One is large subunit and the other is small subunit. Large subunit and small subunit. In 70S ribosome, which are found mostly in prokaryotes, consist of two subunits. The small subunits are really 30S and the large subunit is 50S. 50S means 50 Svedberg unit. Okay, 30S plus 50S is equal to 80S. But is the 10 get reduced? Yes. When these two subunits are connected together, they will press together and almost 10 Svedberg units of this ribosome size will get reduced or depressed. So in weight or externally, it will measure only 70S subunit. So 70S subunit is the ribosome that is commonly found in the prokaryotes for protein synthesis. As you know, ribosomes are filled with RNA, then different types of proteins, the RNA. There are particular RNA that are ribosomal RNA, rRNA. Ribosomal RNA is present in the ribosomes. This I know, right? RNAs are of three categories. They are tRNA, rRNA, and sRNA. These three RNAs have definite functions in the organism. So in ribosomes, RNA is most commonly found, and they are filled in this, and this is the site of protein synthesis. Sometimes polyribosome, a word poly is ribosome you may come across. What is the meaning of polyribosome? During protein synthesis, many ribosomes are attached together along the mRNA. Many ribosomes get attached to the mRNA, and such a large number of ribosomes seen on this mRNA during protein synthesis or translation is called polyribosomes. So these are the main aspects of ribosomes. So once again, what are ribosomes? Ribosomes are the only organelle without any membrane. They are, second point, they are found in all types of cells, including prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cells. Now, third point, they are the sites of protein synthesis. Hence, they are called protein factories. What type of ribosomes are found in prokaryotes? 70S ribosomes. A 70S ribosome consists of two subunits. The small subunit is of 30S and large subunit is of 50S. So 30 plus 50 is equal to 80, but the 10 subunits get depressed or reduced while they attach each other. So this S indicate the Swedberg unit, which is a unit of sedimentation coefficient. At that while centrifugation takes place to separate the ribosomes. Now many ribosomes are connected to an mRNA and form polyribosomes. There are three types of RNAs: tRNA, sRNA and rRNA. So that's all about the preliminary introduction about ribosomes. Clear? So you can get more points from notes sent to you. Now we are coming to certain other important aspects of this chapter. Eukaryotic cell. That will be